Welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars, your space for intimate, carefully observed moments that shape celebrity lives in ways both hushed and luminous. Before we dive in, remember to subscribe, tap like, and consider pressing join to support our storytelling. Settle in now, because a casual backstage snippet has unfurled into something that feels like a private letter accidentally read aloud. What looked at first like a throwaway behind-the-scenes clip. A crew member's quick video of Cenk Torun relaxing in his dressing room between takes has become the spark for a much larger conversation. In the short footage, Cenk scrolls through his phone, nothing remarkable, until a watchful fan paused the frame and spotted the image on his screen. The lock screen, unmistakably, featured Mahassine. That picture, already familiar to those who remembered traces of their time together, immediately turned into the centerpiece of a growing tale. Its quiet presence on Cenk's phone was interpreted not as accident but as a private keepsake suddenly made visible by chance. From the moment the still image began circulating, analysis erupted. Celebrity closeness is rarely simple, but the symbolism here seemed clear to many viewers. Choosing a partner's photograph as the background on a device you touch every hour is an intimate act. It is the picture you see first, the one you return to throughout the day. That such a portrait appeared in a clip otherwise devoid of drama triggered a wave of questions about a relationship that has, in public, long hovered in a fog of gentle ambiguity. A reporter who caught up with Cenk after the clip spread asked him for a straight answer. He didn't deny, didn't deflect with a joke. He kept his voice level and said, "Certain faces linger, even as everything else keeps moving." That single line, pared down and resonant, flooded social feeds almost immediately. For many, it sounded like confession wrapped in poetry. For others, it was just open enough to resist a single meaning. Mahassine's reply came a few hours later, short and seemingly effortless. Approached outside a cafe, she offered a calm smile and said, "Some things simply don't require a comment." That one sentence felt like a door not fully closed, measured yet full of charge. In the arena where every word becomes ammunition, restraint sometimes lands harder than a proclamation. Fans took it as confirmation. Commentators warned against building castles from fragments. Still, tiny coincidences kept fueling the fire. Observers pointed out near simultaneous activity on their socials, small acknowledgments on older posts, and the reappearance of a few motifs their followers once associated with their shared past. An eyewitness at a recent fan gathering in Ankara described spotting Cenk glance down at a small photograph tucked inside a notebook he carried. A quiet artifact, perhaps, of something once close. The story, though just a single account, traveled widely. Another detail that spread fast came from a live broadcast, when a coworker, mid-laugh, slipped and called Cenk by a nickname said to have been used only by Mahassine. That one moment sent thousands spiraling. In the collective imagination, it served as proof that private archives of tenderness remain within reach. People working near Cenk have noticed a different rhythm to him lately. A production source, requesting anonymity, said he's been more inward, more thoughtful, with stretches where he checks his phone and lets a soft smile pass over his face. Observers framed it not as a scandal but as a human portrait, a man moving through his day with the quiet glow of a memory. In the same spirit, devoted followers combed through older interviews, searching for a sentence or two that might read differently now. A line Mahassine once shared. "That some souls leave marks you cannot wash away," resurfaced and was held up like a clue. Of course, clues are not confirmations. Representatives for both have stayed quiet, a silence as revealing in this industry as any carefully crafted statement. Cenk's team declined to expand on the wallpaper moment. Mahassine's publicist said personal questions were off the table. In a world where orchestrated denials are common, choosing not to add anything only widened the field for interpretation. When there's no blunt refusal, stories find room to grow. The public split predictably into camps, hope on one side, caution on the other. Some fans celebrated the idea of renewal, stitching together likes and timestamps and mirrored captions into a banner of possibility. Others warned about glorifying crumbs. Nostalgia, they argued, is not the same as growth. Columnists debated whether a phone background carries meaning beyond habit. Meanwhile, discussion threads blossomed into enthusiastic case files, archiving every scrap that could be read as contact. Beneath the theories and the sleuthing lies a simple, steady heartbeat. People are moved by the thought of continuity. There's comfort in imagining that two people who once built something meaningful might find a way back after detours. For many, the idea of Cenk and Mahassine circling back to each other felt like an antidote to the noise. Not a headline about rupture, but a whisper of repair. It suggests that affection can be preserved, even revived, without ceremony. This episode also underscores something vivid about intimacy and the digital world. A wallpaper is both hidden and exposed. It's a charm for the person who chooses it, but if the screen lights up in public, it becomes a message anyone can read. Your lock screen is an open window into your private landscape. What you place there speaks without words. In a culture where attention is traded like currency, keeping someone's face present on your device suggests loyalty, whether it's friendly, nostalgic, or something deeper. So what paths could lie ahead for these two? One option is practical. They might continue at a careful distance, exchanging measured smiles and enigmatic captions while keeping their realities locked away. Another possibility leans romantic. A slow, deliberate weaving back together, durable because it happens beyond the spotlight. And then there's the most neutral interpretation, that the wallpaper is a personal souvenir, neither a promise nor a denial, simply a memory he chooses to keep close. To the public, though, the image functions as a spark, an invitation to hope, to gossip, to analyze. Before we wrap, we want to hear from you, the community that keeps secrets behind the stars alive. Do you read Cenk's lock screen as a nod to the past, a quiet signal, or just a habit with no extra meaning? Would you rather celebrities speak plainly about symbols this delicate, or is their silence the more respectful route? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective shapes how we tell these stories and helps us stay careful, fair, and deeply curious. If this feature resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and consider pressing join to support our independent coverage. Your support keeps our work nuanced, empathetic, and free from cheap shortcuts. And as we continue following this thread, we promise to keep the focus on what truly matters, the small gestures that can reveal the biggest truths. Because that is what this entire moment, this single frame of Cenk's phone, reminds us. Love now often lives in fragments, in saved photos, in nicknames, in tiny tokens tucked into notebooks and devices. Whether this image signals a rekindling or merely preserves what once was, it has nudged millions to remember that some connections persist. They don't always shout, sometimes they wait, patient and warm, outlasting statements and headlines. For those who have watched Cenk and Mahassine over the years, the reaction has been colored by memory. They remember the playful glances in interviews, the overlapping city stops, the way a piece of jewelry on one wrist echoed a gift seen weeks earlier on the other. The wallpaper didn't create a narrative from thin air, it threw light on a storyline that fans, quietly and collectively, had been writing in the margins. Insiders whisper that Cenk's days carry a different tempo now. He lingers on set after scenes wrap, chatting less, wandering the hallways with a calm that reads as contentment to some and distraction to others. In the space between shots, he sometimes sits with his phone resting face up, as if the image on the screen is less a background and more a small window he can open to step into warmth. Those who have stood nearby speak of a subtle shift, the kind of gentleness a person adopts when they are protecting something not ready to be named. As for Mahassine, those who have crossed paths with her lately describe her as composed, radiant, and unbothered by the swirling noise. She answers what she must, declines what she cannot, and moves on with a smile that never quite gives everything away. Her brief sentence outside that cafe traveled far because it felt like her, elegant, precise, unwilling to make a spectacle out of intimacy. The restraint only invited more curiosity, and with every hour of silence, the public conversation expanded to fill the space it was given. One analysis thread compared their recent posts and found echoes, parallel color palettes, similar late-night timestamps, captions that seemed to reply to each other without tagging. Another pointed out a vintage song that appeared in both of their stories within days. Not the same clip, but the same chorus, like a private refrain sung in two rooms of the same house. Maybe coincidence, maybe choreography, may be the sort of synchronicity that happens when two people have lived side by side long enough for their rhythms to overlap. Publicists, however, have held the line. No comment is often dismissed as evasive, but in matters of the heart it can be the most honest answer available. Feelings evolve, situations shift, and what is true in the morning may not be safe to declare by night. Professionals around them seem to respect that edge, letting the story breathe instead of sealing it with a stamp. The wallpaper, just a picture, and yet not just a picture, became a mirror. Fans looked into it and saw the version of Cenk and Mahassine they wanted. Those who ache for reconciliation saw a promise. Those who believe in boundaries saw a private ritual accidentally caught in public. Those who distrust the glamour machine saw a clever tease designed to fuel headlines without committing to anything. And maybe, in the end, all of those readings can coexist, because images gather meaning from the eyes that meet them. Still, if you followed their arc, it's hard not to hear the subtext, a shared history that refuses to fade into total silence. A single nickname uttered on air carries you back to a kitchen where it might have been born. A glance at a worn photograph in a notebook conjures afternoons that never made it to social feeds. And a line from an old interview, that indelible marks exist, returns with a new resonance, as though it had been written for this exact week. Let's be honest, part of what makes this so compelling is that it doesn't demand a verdict. It invites you to sit with maybe. A public relationship often calcifies into simple categories: together, apart, back together. But life and love tend to move in gradients. Perhaps that's why the internet has not tired of the story. The lack of a neat label lets people project hope, debate, and, yes, care. Where does that leave us? Watching, listening, noticing the soft signals without insisting they be decoded. Perhaps we will see them share a frame again, shoulder to shoulder, without comment. Perhaps they'll continue to walk parallel paths with occasional convergences, a shared flight, an overlapping event, a song hummed on two different mornings. Or perhaps this is only about remembering well, a lock screen as a ritual of gratitude, a way to honor what once was without reopening it. As we close, a gentle reminder: we want to hear you. Do you think Cenk's choice is sentiment, a discreet message, or just muscle memory on a busy day? Should celebrities open their diaries when the world starts reading between the lines, or is a sealed envelope more dignified for the feelings that matter? Drop your thoughts below. Your voices guide the conversations we hold here on Secrets Behind the Stars, and your support, likes, subscriptions, and that join button, helps us keep the tone thoughtful, the lens compassionate, and the reporting independent. Whatever happens next, this moment has captured something true. Love in the digital age often travels as crumbs on a bright screen, an image saved, a nickname half-caught, a song snippet shared after midnight. Whether this is the start of a new chapter for Cenk Torun and Mahassine Merabet or a beautifully kept memory given a small space on a phone, it has reminded us that the quietest gestures can say the most. We'll keep watching, we'll keep listening, and we'll bring you what we learn with care. Thank you for being part of Secrets Behind the Stars. Stay close, turn on notifications so you won't miss any follow-up, and tell us who you want us to explore next. Until then, remember, sometimes the loudest declarations are the ones left unsaid, carried instead in a single image that lights up a screen and, for a moment, the room around it.